Maybe I can get something fucking done around here now, huh? The fuck? This is weird. Oh, is my shit not showing? Well, if it wasn't before, now it is. That was weird. I've never encountered that NPC before in my life. There is horde absolutely everywhere down here. Okay, so apparently I was wrong earlier. Apparently, it's the only dwarf mob in the area that can't root. But he can daze. Daze is no problem for him. Oh, I got a horde too. I knew there was going to be one of them. Oh, wait. I got help. I got help. Fuck him up. Oh, thank you. Complimentary heals. You know, I wouldn't mind having a group for protection, but that would cut into my XP pretty hard. Uh, oh, perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and play a YouTube video in the background here. Need something to listen to.
Fun anymore. Listen, guys, here's the thing.
Didn't he just make a video for this? Is this the same video?
Gaming isn't fun anymore.
I guess I'll watch this one. The other one was kind of shitty anyway.
But there's one thing that's been in my life since my hair was short and full of color, and that's video games. But recently, I've realized
look who it is!
that I spend a lot more.
It's Zach Rar. Wow. Which one is that? Oh yeah, that's back whenever I was doing the New World. So I need to start playing New World again.
Time consuming content about video games than I do actually
it's that guy.
Video games. In fact, in the past couple of years, there's been months at a time where I did not play a single minute of
It's
video
the
games.
mogul male
And
guy.
it most certainly is not because I'm a busy and accomplished adult with a roaring career and social life. Because quite the opposite. My life mostly revolves around watching YouTube videos, streams, and shows. But I actively miss playing video games and spending countless hours immersing myself in creative worlds and game systems. And it seems like I'm the only one with this problem. All of my friends still have the games that they're obsessed with and play all the time. I personally don't enjoy most of those games.
Oh my god. Bro, the only thing missing out of this is the Mad Catz logo.
Since apparently I'm a boomer that hates games now.
Yeah.
So what's the deal?
Slave
Am I
workers
growing
freaking
out of
out.
this hobby that I've loved for so long? Or perhaps I'm just jaded from the infestation of
here we go.
greed and its insatiable hunger for infinite growth afflicted upon us in every corner, in every game, with cash shops
Yep.
and battle passes, so many battle passes, and coins,
go.
and the crystals you have to buy,
Yep.
and the crystals you don't
Ready
get
to
the right
smoke?
amount of crystals, and it doesn't make sense for all the items in the
Yeah.
shop
Oh.
because they
Yeah, buy
have a
another
little
one.
left over because
Yeah,
they want
buy-
you to spend more money.
Yep.
Or maybe games are just bad now. Or is it some other nuanced collection
Yeah.
of reasons that I'm going to spend the rest of this video exploring and talking about?
I think it's a mix of
Anyway, I interrupted my
Yeah,
video.
Games are definitely just bad now.
How did I interrupt your video?
But I was listening to something.
I really miss playing video
Oh,
games
shut up.
and spending
Yeah.
countless hours immersing myself in creative worlds and game systems. And it seems like I'm the only one with this problem. All of my friends still have the games that they're obsessed with and play all the time. I personally don't enjoy most of those games.
Oh my god. Bro, the only thing missing out of this is the Mad Catz logo.
Since apparently I'm a boomer that hates games now.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? Am I growing out of this hobby that I've loved for so long? Or perhaps I'm just jaded from the infestation of corporate greed and its insatiable hunger for infinite growth afflicted upon us in every corner, in every game, with cash shops
Yep.
and battle passes, so many battle passes, and coins,
go.
and the crystals you have to buy,
Yep.
and the crystals you don't get the right amount of crystals, and it doesn't make
And
sense
the-
for all the items in the
yeah.
shop because they
Yeah,
have
buy
a
another
little
one.
left over because
Yeah,
they want
buy-
you to spend more money.
Yep.
Or maybe games are just bad now. Or is it some other nuanced collection
Yeah.
of reasons?
Games are
that
mostly
I'm
just
gonna
bad
spend
now.
this video
Like if it's a
exploring
single
and
player
talking
AAA game, it's probably just bad.
about. No, games are definitely just bad now.
If it's a multiplayer AAA game, it's just fucked with battle passes and
I
It
still
was
have
the
a
early
VCR.
90s.
bad game
One
modes
of my
and
earliest most
zero
What
skill
the
gap
happened to this shit?
gameplay.
Like, y'all remember this game? I used to have this shit. This was on Super Nintendo, F-Zero. And then remember that shit whenever it came out on fucking GameCube? Man, I loved F-Zero. F-Zero GX, yeah. It was so fucking fun, man. Whatever happened to this? Like, that's the next... Like, the next IP, like, stop making new Forza sports games. Like, I don't give a fuck about how realistic the wheels look. Bro, make a new F-Zero.
vivid memories of video games was the Christmas that I got a Super Nintendo.
Ooh.
I got this Mickey Mouse game called The Magical Quest, starring Mickey Mouse. I remember just laying down in my living
I had the
room
Goof
for
Troop game. It
hours
was
playing
amazing.
on my little CRT TV. It
Yep.
was like cracked, my tiny little underdeveloped brain, just seeing pixels moving at my command. I was hooked. And that was it. The floodgates were open. Throwing Foot Clan ninjas into the screen in
Oh
turns
my
of time.
God. I
Collecting
never
all the
beat this game.
letters. And Donkey Kong
Donkey
Country.
Kong Country, yeah.
In Super Mario World, solving puzzles with all the cool items and Link to the
Oh,
past. That kick-ass intro in Super Metroid. I
I
was hyped
never
and
beat
stressed out of
Super
my little
Metroid.
mind
I gotta
for
beat
that.
it.
This era was peak gaming and would forever solidify me as a Nintendo fanboy.
Yep. I too am a Nintendo fanboy. It doesn't matter how many Smash tournaments they cancel at the 11th hour for seemingly no reason. I will still simp for Nintendo and get hyped up whenever one of the old guys that, you know, made Super Mario World comes on camera. They're like, we got a new game. I'm like, yes! I don't give a fuck.
Then, a few years later, the most fateful day of any kid growing up in the mid-90s. The Christmas where I got my... It was that sick-ass green one that was bundled with Donkey Kong 64 and
Yeah.
that little RAM pack. But now, games were 3D.
I got
Donkey
Super
Kong, Mario,
64.
Zelda, all had an entirely new dimension to explore,
Yeah.
opening up so many gameplay options. But that wasn't all, because you could play with 4 players. Mario Kart,
Yep.
Mario Party, Smash Bros.
The only game you could do with multiplayer on Super Nintendo, like, really, is like, you know, there's some fighting games, and like you could do Secret of Mana with like 3 people if you had like an adapter.
The rise of party
And, like, maybe a
games.
couple of
You
other
could sit on the
games.
couch with your friends, smacking
Mario
controllers out
Party
of each
was our
other's
game.
hands,
That's the
using
one we
the
did.
cheating, ruin friendships. It was great. But party games weren't the only thing that benefited from the fork.
We used to have this one kid that he would always turn off the N64 whenever he would lose Mario Party. So we would have to, like, whenever we were like, you know, it was like round like 19 out of 20, we would have to be ready to fucking just like fucking grab him and like throw him down before he hits the reset button.
Slots. Multiplayer first-person shooters. My friends and I spent countless hours on GoldenEye 64. We even used to get
I never
cardboard
did this.
boxes and tape them up to the screen to section it off so that you couldn't screen look.
Oh,
we took
we
that
didn't
shit
do that.
very seriously. Now, by this time, first-person shooters already existed on PC, but I had the crappiest Dell that was cheap and out of date, even for the late 90s. So I-
My mom had a computer in the 70s. Okay. I grew up with the best fucking computers. But we didn't have a lot of shit. But she worked from home. She needed to use a computer. What? Yeah. My grandfather was a pilot in World War II, and then after World War II, he became a cartographer. And so my mom like worked with him, and so she was like getting a computer to do that. So like yeah, like the old Osborne PCs, like with the monitor, it's like this big and it's green. I have one of those.
I was still able to play bangers like Roller Coaster Tycoon,
Never
Age
did
of
that
Empires 2,
Ooh,
StarCraft. I knew the PC
hard
was
as
eventually going
fuck
to be where
on
it's
that
at
game.
for me. But for now, the next
StarCraft 2
console
as
era.
well. StarCraft as well. People sleep on GameCube, but I think pound for pound, it's very hard to beat the GOAT PS2, the greatest console of all time. However, GameCube was fucking incredible. Absolutely amazing. I got a GameCube. That was the first one I got. I remember I got GameCube and Pikmin.
I really feel like there was 2 games in particular that defined this
And then
generation
Luigi's
for me
Mansion,
personally. The first game was Smash Bros. There was so many more characters in the first game, so many more stages. It controlled beautifully. It was a masterpiece.
Sure was.
One time my parents made us go play outside, and so we stuck the TV up against the window and threw the controllers out there, and so we were all just standing outside playing Smash Bros. Through a window. And the second game was Time Splitters 2.
Oh my fucking god. Remember like they had 7 different characters that were these girls with massive fucking titties? That's the only thing that I remember about this game. I remember I loved the game so much. It was amazing. Even playing the campaign. Yes. Yes. And we played the campaign, and the campaign was really good. And then like me and Sean and Dylan and like AJ and like fucking like Cody, Jeff, Roll, Cameron, Zach, we would all fucking play Time Splitters 2. We did Time Splitters 2 until Halo like kind of got big. And not, I mean, it was still big, but like we kind of like swapped over to Halo after playing this.
From the same developers of GoldenEye,
It's so
Time Splitters
good.
would become my favorite shooter to this day.
Yeah.
The game had an insane amount of game modes,
Yep.
tons of characters, a map editor that you could make your own
Yep.
story missions. It had it all. One of my friends was a genius when it came to making maps, and every
We
time
were
we got
not.
together, he had a couple new maps that had some interesting gimmick that completely changed the way we played the game. One of my favorite maps of his was one where it was just this square. It was like a grid of rooms with doors. And we would run around with 1 shot, 1 kill baseball bats. It was terrifying. If you've never played Time Splitters, I'm sorry, you're really missing out.
I'm not sure how well this game holds up to time, but I remember this game was really, really fun to play back in the day. I loved
It
it.
doesn't hold up very well.
The era of couch gaming would not last forever, though. And in fact,
Doesn't?
Definitely
Oh,
needs a
coming to
reboot,
a
but they'd
close.
probably fuck it up.
Monday, March 15th, 2004.
I guess I'm gonna have to fight this one.
Oh,
I should
boy.
survive it just fine though.
Yeah. 2004 was a golden year for gaming.
This was the day that I created my first RuneScape account.
Oh boy.
It would be my first introduction into the world of MMOs, the genre that encapsulated everything that I loved about gaming. the adventure, the immersion, puzzle solving, crafting, and I could play and enjoy it with my friends and hundreds of people across the world. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was loving every minute of it. Later that year, a
I
certain
never
other
went hard as fuck on RuneScape. I really wish I did.
MMO would release, World of Warcraft. Unfortunately, there was one issue. I still had dial-up internet.
Again, man, I remember my dad retired in 2003. And I was like, nah, you're gonna need a really good computer. If you want to be able to work on a computer, you gotta make sure you get one of those really good computers. You've got to make sure that the computer is really good. That way it can run Microsoft Word and, more importantly, Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne online flawlessly. And it's yep. I remember he spent like $2,000 on that computer, and to be fair, it was a really good computer. It lasted for like fucking like 10, 15 years.
It would be a few years until I got out of dial-up hell.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, the only way I could play World of
Yeah,
Warcraft
broadband.
was either by playing at friend's house or sneaking the installation onto the school computers in the library, which I absolutely did. They were not very well managed at the time. I wouldn't hit max level in World of Warcraft until the tail end of Burning Crusade, just before Wrath. But by then, World of Warcraft was the game that I played, and it would remain that way for several years until about halfway through my senior year of high school. That's when I got beta access to StarCraft II Wings of Liberty. My friends and I were so hyped for this game, we spent every day in school in our computer class just playing StarCraft II. I fell in love with competitive gaming and esports because of StarCraft II.
I feel like StarCraft 2, maybe this is like a bad take and it's just like my opinion, but like I feel like StarCraft 2 was the first game that really brought esports into the mainstream. Like Counter-Strike was always there, but StarCraft 2 had like a meteoric rise of like awareness and people that were just like fixating on it and playing it all over the place. It was like it was the first game that was culturally relevant as an esport. Like Unreal Tournament, Quake, these were all esports before, but it was the first culturally relevant esport to gaming as a whole, and like that people would know about from my viewpoint.
The first game that I actually tried to play competitively and work my way up a ranked ladder. I would practice almost every day with friends, watch Day 9 and Husky videos, aspirations of going
Hydra,
pro.
remember him?
I only ever made it to Plat, but getting to Plat felt incredible. I remember my friend
Remember
and
that
I
guy,
used to
Destiny?
wake up at like 5 in the morning to watch the
Yeah,
GSL.
remember him?
And in 2011, as a broke college student in Orlando, Florida, I bought a ticket to MLG using a literal bag of coins. But it was such an incredible experience. My friends and I got to meet all of our favorite players, Huck, In Control.
There he is! There we go, right there.
We also got to meet Day 9, Husky, our toast.
Platinum is a
It was my very
accomplishment.
first,
I mean, I
and
guess.
unfortunately, my very last.
I got platinum pretty easy once I got over my
Eventually,
ladder
StarCraft II
anxiety.
gave way to League of Legends, which a few years later gave way to Smite. Which
Oh
was
wow,
massive
that's a
set of esports
lot
that I played
of.
seriously.
Hold on.
Very quick.
None of them really grabbed me in the same way that StarCraft 2 did, and I'm not sure any other competitive esport ever.
I need to start dot
I think
saving
it's
more
because,
often.
Like, StarCraft 2 also, like the game.
I'm gonna make
had
it a
so
macro.
much massive hype, and then also it was so like everybody was playing StarCraft 2. It was cool to play StarCraft 2. Personally, I think that's a big reason.
This was about the peak of gaming in my life.
Yeah.
The best of it all came before, and I feel like I can pinpoint the exact year that the steep slope downward began.
2013.
And that year was 2014.
Close enough.
This was the year that
To keep in mind, that was the year that Warlords of Draenor came out.
StarCraft was all but dead. The year Warlords of Draenor came out, the first ever World of Warcraft expansion that I did not buy or play.
Yep.
This was the year Destiny released and was a massive disappointment. This was the year that Smite introduced loot boxes.
Again, I'm only
This was the year
doing
that
this
WildStar
because my
released
server
and
crashed.
failed. And every year on from this point just seemed to be one big disappointment after another.
Yeah.
It felt more and more
Oh,
common
shit.
for games to release unfinished or broken or have some predatory monetization. Every year seemed worse than the last. Gaming seemed different now.
I feel it's because like every game back then was like you know, like not every single one was meant to be played online. As soon as every game was like meant to be played online, the developers didn't care about shipping a finished product because they could patch it.
I don't think I'm getting XP since I'm in GM mode.
Have games changed? I think
game-
that absolutely games have
There we
changed
go.
in terms of being online.
I'm gonna kill a
focused.
few workers here to make up for it.
Like,
Ooh, I
many
can
of
mine
the big
thorium down
games
here?
now
I
are
ever do
online
that?
Service, live service games. Like League of like, let's look right now. I think this would be interesting. I'm not even sure what this is going to show. Twitch.television. Let's see what the biggest and most popular gaming categories are right now. Okay. Live service, live service, live service, live service, live service, live service. Is GTA live service? I don't know. Tarkov live service, FIFA half and half, Minecraft half and half, I'd say. Fortnite. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, is Counter-Strike live service? I don't know. Like Fortnite definitely live service, Dragonflight live service, Genshin live service, live service, live service, live service, live service. I don't know about these. And so anyway, you can see how almost every popular game, and this is only on Twitch, it's not a, you know, big, it's not the only way to look at it, but let's look at, you know, Steam Database, for example. Live service, live service, live service, live service. What the fuck is this? Live service, live service, live service, live service. They're pretty much all live service games. Except for Elden Ring. Which is also still getting updates, but it's not really a live service game in the same way.
The industry has grown incredibly fast since I first picked up a controller. In fact, in 2021, the games industry raked in more cash than music and film combined. A good bit of this growth can be attributed to the rise of mobile gaming, which in 2021 made up 45% of the total revenue in the industry. And of course, the stench of this heaping pile of cash would not go unnoticed by the insectoid swarm of C-suite executives. And with their grubby little shit,
Alright, I'll do 2 more of these.
Dunkest touch, they've pushed hard to make console and PC gaming monetization.
And then I'll call it square, even though I'm pretty sure I had more XP before it crashed. I'm gonna go ahead and teleport to make up for lost time.
Money as they can out of its users in a predatory.
The problem also is like, I mean, you can talk about how bad it is, but people keep playing the games. At the end of the day, everybody keeps playing them. And it's like Overwatch 2 comes out, people still play Overwatch 2. Not always. Yeah, the reason why people don't play a game is if it's bad. It's not because it's monetized in an unfair way. It's because it's a bad fucking game.
manner. Whether it's feeding off of players' addictions by implementing gambling adjacent mechanics, or their frustration by creating problems and selling back the solutions, or FOMO with limited time function by creating problems and selling back the solutions, or FOMO with limited time buy now expensive skins. The online nature of the live service model.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care about how skins are monetized as long as they're not loot boxes. I don't care if they sell skins for $1,000. It doesn't matter to me at all. But I fucking hate whenever the game is programmed and designed to have 100 bag spaces, but they only give you 50, and you have to buy, you know, 5 bag space upgrades, and each one costs more.
I'm about to level up again.
Lost Ark.
Just from the rest of XP.
Has primed games for these sort of exploitations.
POE?
It's not complete.
Yeah, but the thing is, PoE is fucking free, and for the price of a AAA game, you can get everything in PoE that you want. Everything that you will ever need, you can get for the price of a AAA game, and it's a one-time purchase. Like PoE, yes, they do have loot boxes. L for PoE, absolutely. However, I'm still gonna say, like, I love PoE, and I don't think that they should be lumped in with this at all.
Without its pushback, though, as we gamers have been successful in combating some of these changes, as is the case with loot boxes, as we've pretty much eradicated those from most PC and console games at this point. though it definitely seems like a losing battle, as every year more
Yeah.
ground gives way to the normalization of such strategies, in like a 1 step forward, 10 step back kind of way. For example, if we look back, it wasn't that long ago when DLC was considered outrageous. It was seen as devs taking content out of the original game and holding it back to sell later.
Yeah, I
But as
remember that.
always, the ground gave way, and the conversation shifted to whether or not it was day one DLC, or how much effort they put into the DLC, if the
Well, the problem is that consumers, and this is what I've said before, it is so rare that once an industry gets large enough that consumers can have any sort of concerted effort against like any sort of like product trend. So like for example with like sports or with like buying shoes or something like that, the market is so vast and large. That's the same thing, but it's so vast that there's never going to be a point where you can get enough people together to make a change, because there's always going to be a bunch of other people out there who are thinking to themselves, you know what, it's totally fucking fine, I don't care. D&D though, yeah, and that's why it didn't work with Magic, is because Magic is a much smaller community. And so it was easier to get people to like kind of push back against like the Magic thing or the D&D thing, because the community's a lot smaller, it's a lot more close-knit, and it's harder to fucking... You can't rely on having this massive silent majority of people that don't even know, you know, well, where's the BlizzCon's been?
I think day one DLC is probably the biggest con in gaming history.
Didn't that character, well, whatever happened to that one character?
There's a lot of things today that come pretty close to that, but yeah, the fact that you had content on the disc and you had to pay to unlock it, like you paid for this disc and everything that's on it, but then you had to pay additionally to get the day one DLC.
That's literally it. They never. It's that minimal for them.
content was worth it. Fast forward to today, where similar
Okay. Holy
A server
shit.
crash.
Look at this. What did they do? Did they search Asmongold pay to win? Tower of Fantasy? Free player defends Diablo Immortal. Bro, I think we already were gonna watch that. Didn't Mizkif get banned for watching that?
How many golems do I have here?
Diablo Immortal.
3.
Asmongold reacts to real pay to win. Diablo 4.
conversations are being had about the pay-to-win debate, where at first any pay-to-win is completely unacceptable, to now being able to find conversations about how a certain game is not that pay-to-win.
Alright, let's see what happened this time.
Games is nothing new or original. In fact, it's an oversaturated market.
Yep, same
and at this
thing.
point, just feels like beating a dead horse. It seems you'll never get enough people to care about this topic, and until that happens,
That's the problem.
nothing will change.
True.
I'm not gonna switch to
Instead,
beta.
I'd like to talk about a bit of a hot take here, that in the past 10 years, gaming really hasn't changed.
I don't understand how they are able to get away with this. How is it that they can keep releasing it? How? It's a good game. It's been 10 years, man. They've done more remakes of Skyrim in 10 years than I bet Nintendo has done of Super Mario Brothers in 40.
Changed much at all. The gaming industry feels pretty stagnant.
Fuck.
If I compare games as they are now to how I thought they would be by now as a kid, the picture is very disappointing. As a kid who just discovered MMOs like RuneScape and World of Warcraft, I was blown away by the idea of what MMOs could be in the future.
Yeah.
I would hop off World of Warcraft and go play Dungeons & Dragons and think, man, one day World of Warcraft is going to have the same level of choice and consequence that I can have with my imagination playing D&D. Now obviously that hasn't happened yet, and as a kid I didn't know anything about game development. But I've heard a similar observation from Razboon in his video series Gaming for a Non-Gamer, which is a great
I might watch that. That's really interesting. That's
series,
cool.
and I recommend you check it out, where he discusses his wife's disappointment discovering video games for the first time.
Yeah.
Her expectations for what she thought she could do in each game were always different than the reality, and I think as she realized that games were more simple than she had first assumed, some of the intrigue about them faded.
There's a massive lack of innovation.
No, I think that's also one of the reasons why people feel like the magic has gone away from gaming, is that back whenever you were a little kid, it was harder to find out where those limits were because you were just stupid. But now that you know, like, very much and very defined, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, this is how you can do it, this is how you can't do it, you know, and it's like back, yeah, there's no internet. Remember back in, like, classic WoW, there were a lot of people that thought that you could get Ashbringer by fishing? And, like, there were so many people doing it that, like, Blizzard had to come out with, like, a statement and be like, guys, it's just some bullshit, like, it's not real, like, stop fishing under the bridge. You're not gonna get the sword. It's not gonna happen. Stop.
Let's see if the save button works.
And risk-taking
Yep.
in the AAA space.
Yeah.
As we see games like Skyrim being released a billion times, The Last of Us is getting its third version
I'm
of the
gonna
game.
play this.
Call of Duty ran out of ideas and decided to just loop back around and start re-releasing.
I don't know how they can do Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for the third time. Is that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 5? Or is it times 3, so it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 6? It's Modern Warfare 2.
their games in order again, hoping nobody would notice, but they somehow made all the games worse so everyone noticed. Which brings me to my next point, where not only are companies not really interested in innovating at all, but they seem to be actively taking steps backwards in innovation. If you look at something like the original Fallout's super in-depth dialogue system versus Fallout 4's dialogue system, it's a huge step back. And that's a tame example. It gets so much worse. Blizzard, for example, figured out that they can retroactively ruin a 20-year-old game with Warcraft 3 Reforged. Well, I guess that was pretty innovative. The only real innovations coming out of this industry are coming from indie developers and modders, the latter of which is responsible for the two biggest genres in the past decade, and that's without even the expectation.
That's a really good insight. I've never heard somebody say that, but that's so fucking true. MOBAs and also BRs were mods. Yeah, game companies... yeah, they haven't fucking done anything. Yeah, what the fuck, man? That is... sad.
Getting paid. Isn't that weird? Kind of goes against the conventional capitalist thinking, huh? Looking at the trajectory of the industry, it's really hard to not just be depressed about it all and wonder if the industry can ever course.
Now I gotta kill some to make up for lost time.
It already is. Like, you're already seeing course correction inside of the industry. But the problem is that course correction doesn't mean everybody is going to do the same thing that you want them to do. Course correction, in my mind, means that there's a space for you.
As far as I'm concerned, the server can crash all at once.
7 different battle pass tiers.
Had I not saved at 3, I would have still killed some extra ones because of lost time.
It's weird to think that things like YouTube, Reddit, and all these other social media sites haven't really been around that long. And yet it's sometimes hard to remember what it was like before they existed. These sites have made data mining, crowdsourced information, and video guides all accessible to everyone at all times. In some cases, the internet will have every bit of information about every mechanic and secret in a given game before they even release. And all of these things have drastically changed how we play video games. Let's take a look at a game like World of Warcraft.
Ooh.
If I had to describe how I feel playing retail WoW in one word, it would be emptiness. Not because of a lack of content necessarily, so much as the game just kind of feels soulless. Where before, the game was about adventure and discovery, it is instead now a game about optimization.
Wow, look at that. That's the average World of Warcraft raider. There you go, guys.
It's essentially a solved game
Okay.
where add-ons and logs have optimized gameplay to a T with little room for experimentation and creativity. Which is fine. I mean, no one likes to play suboptimally. I'm not trying to vilify optimization, as it can be quite fun for some people. Take speedrunning, for example.
Yeah.
Speedrunning is such an interesting hobby to me. It's something I've always wanted to get into, but I've always felt a little intimidated by. The stuff that people are able to achieve with speedrunning is truly mind-blowing. Some of which is only really possible because of the interconnected nature of modern gaming, where sharing glitches and exploits is part of the fun of collectively iterating on runs to shave off more and more time.
Most speedrunners don't even play the fucking game, they just skip through it.
Is like a cool thing that
And it's supposed to be cool.
gaming
It's not.
has really like kind of acted as a force multiplier for.
Speedrunning isn't even like
Very much like if you have
playing the game. It's literally, when you watch a speedrun, you're literally watching a condensed compilation of
I would
glitches
not
is
wanna
what
go
it is.
back to the way it used to be.
If you look at something like RuneScape, one of the most solved games that has become literally all about the optimization, you'll find a community who's made it a tradition of coming up with off-the-wall challenges and restrictions inflicted upon their accounts,
Yeah,
also known as
Dark
snowflake
Souls is really
accounts,
like that too.
so that they are forced to forge their own path. There's no guide to follow on how to clear one of the hardest raids in old-school RuneScape if you're not allowed to leave the swamp zone. But one man, after 3 years of theory crafting, grinding, and 33 very entertaining YouTube videos, was able to accomplish that goal, with hundreds and thousands of people watching and loving it.
Oh my god.
So clearly, the problem for World of
I
Warcraft
never
isn't just
watched that.
optimization itself.
Well, I remember like a good example of that in WoW is my Iron Man series. I remember I did like this Iron Man series where I would level all the way through the game in all white gear and I couldn't die. And there were a few times where like I went to like 3 health or something like that. It was so crazy. I eventually fucked up and died, but it was a great series. I think that really like having those different types of like challenges and stuff like that, like soul level 1 runs, let's think of some other ones. Like, you know, Elden Ring has a million of those types of challenges. WoW has the Iron Man challenge. I think RuneScape has a million of these things too. I don't even know. Lasso, Halo, yeah, that's another good example. Like, remember that whenever Drevalen beat the Moist Critical fucking Lasso Halo challenge?
He's also a fraud,
That
by the
was
way.
so fucking hype, man. That was amazing.
I mean,
That
he did it,
optimization isn't just
So
confined to the
self-
few
but
who
like
enjoy it,
he
but
didn't
instead
even play
sort
the
of
game.
forced
Like
onto
I said,
everyone
he
else.
just
With all
used
these
level
tools available
skips.
to everyone and things like Raider.io assigning public completion scores,
And they try to
everyone
make
is
excuses
expected
for
to be
those level
fully
skips by
optimized
saying the
or
level
not
skips
play
are
the game.
hard. And it's
Because
like, I
again,
don't give a
no
shit
one
if they're
likes to
hard. They're
play
not as hard as the
suboptimally.
game,
Runes
obviously.
is
Otherwise, you
worse.
wouldn't be
Well,
doing
there
it.
are people that like to play suboptimally. They play for fun, that's fine. The difference is that nobody will want to play with them.
It's my opinion that this is the real reason why World of Warcraft has been struggling. Like Asmongold has said, Blizzard has ignored the casual audience and failed to produce fun and compelling
I keep
activities that
thinking
aren't
I'm
just about
about doing
optimization.
Halo 2 with
I
all
think that
skulls on
Dragonflight has
Legendary
gone against
and not
that.
doing any skips.
I actually think Dragonflight has been a very,
But
very big departure.
I
from
could
that
do it.
in
I just
a
don't
big
have
way.
the time, and it would require
Obviously, It
time.
doesn't mean WoW saved. However, it has been a tremendous improvement.
Instead,
lot of
they just
time.
continue to double down on the raids and dungeons,
yeah, remember
catering to this nature of gameplay. Now, as of this recording, Dragonflight has not released yet, so maybe that will be the expansion that fixes this issue. But it's not just
It did not fix the issue, but it substantially improved it.
retail. A lot of players were excited about Classic and logged in expecting to recapture that nostalgic sense of adventure. But things are too different now. The way we play games is too different now.
Yeah.
The game didn't seem nearly as hard as they remembered.
Can never
The world
step in
not
the
as
same
vast.
river twice.
But I think it comes down to the fact that every facet of the game has been solved already, and that the joy of the original release lied in the discovery and the journey. Now, this is not everyone's opinion. There's still plenty of people that very much enjoyed Classic. This is mostly just anecdotal sentiment from me and my friends. But I do think that this might be why so many people get excited whenever a new MMO is released. It's a chance.
Everybody loves new MMOs because it's a reset. It's a reset where everybody starts on an even playing field and you're part of a shared adventure. And that's what people are really looking for.
To discover things for the first time,
Yeah.
to not be beholden to the methods and builds that someone else already figured out, and
To be fair, the first fucking day of New World, the beta, we already figured out the hatchet was the best weapon. We got max level by farming the invasions, or sorry, corruption portals in Shattered Mountain. We were level 60 in the beta in like 3 days, and then at that point we farmed the dungeons, we figured out the whole watermark system, and then we were complaining about how bad the game was, and we had a bunch of fucking gamer dads that were downvoting us, saying that like, oh, you're so dumb, I'm fishing and I'm having fun. And I said, shut up, old man, you don't know anything. And, you know, what happened. Same rant? Yes! What a surprise. I'm duping my rant about New World. Fuck you. It didn't have to be like that.
everyone is expected to use. A chance for you to be the one that discovers those methods. But, for better or for worse,
Yep.
This is just the way the world is now. Maybe someday a game will come out that isn't.
Remember back when... Do you remember that fucking time that whenever Dragonflight came out, me and McConnell were like killing that rare, and then we finally killed it and it didn't drop any loot, and then we're like, wait, it might be a bug, and then we kill it again, it doesn't drop any loot again, and then everybody fucking runs away. They're
Need a
like,
bodyguard.
"Scammer, run away before Blizzard gets us! Get away quick!" Everybody's like flying on their mounts and get on dragon fighting, trying to get away to where they don't get banned. It was the funniest fucking thing, man. And that's why it's fun to play new content like that. Is because you have times like that when it happens. That's why the Rex Troy videos are so fun. Is because it pushes the boundaries of what's to be expected in a game.
Immune to this phenomenon. A game that can't be solved, where the discovery never goes away. Doesn't seem possible.
I think it is. I think that we might actually have a game some point in the future that is created through AI and it exists infinitely and it is constantly changing in a way that is not understandable. Yeah, there's a procedural generated AI video game that comes out 27 years from now, and the content is so expansive that no human being can ever complete all of it faster than it can be generated.
Who knows? Maybe someday.
That'd be good.
New content wouldn't be such a big deal if you weren't buying level 68, level 78, level whatever boosts.
Is this Cyberpunk? I actually thought about going and playing this game. No, it's life? Oh. It's real life. Yeah, never mind.
I don't feel like a different person. I feel like I always have been and always will be me. But I've changed my mind and opinions on a lot of things in the past 10 years. Growing up and dealing with adult responsibilities can be really stressful. You're
Yeah.
faced with a lot of change and uncertainty, and it can be really easy to succumb to worry and regret. But worry and regret are just a waste of time. Time that could be better spent having fun. You know, people say video games are a waste of time, but personally,
Bro, the people that are like, oh, video games is a waste of time. Wait a minute, I have to get home so I can watch Dancing with the Stars.
Honestly.
Like, you spend 3 hours watching the news about politics so you can vote for a guy to not do what he said he was gonna do every 2 years. Nope. No, you're not gonna make me feel bad about that.
I think that having fun and enjoying your life is the best way to spend your time. But what do you do
I don't
if you no
regret
longer
any time
enjoy
I
your
played
favorite
games.
hobby? With this fog hanging over my head, I began reminiscing on how I used to enjoy games. I used to spend countless hours grinding the ladder in StarCraft 2, working on refining builds, seeing small improvements over time, making quantifiable progress in a skill feels so good.
I don't think that's something that you're gonna get back because you get older and you get that sense of fulfillment from something that means more to you. Like, being really good at StarCraft 2 means so much whenever you're 16, and it means so little whenever you're 36. Because at the time that you've been 36, you've probably had multiple real-life successes. You have your own, family maybe. You have a career. You have a bunch of things that you have that are external from yourself that can give you a sense of self-worth. But whenever you're a kid, you're a young guy, you are a fucking loser. When you're a 17-year-old guy, what is the most impressive thing that you've done? You volunteered for a charity and you threw away garbage for a month during the summer. Okay, nobody cares. And that's why people play that's especially why young guys get attracted to video games, because it gives them a sense where they can compete on an even playing field with everybody else and they can win.
The dopamine. But today, if you asked me to play just about any competitive game, I could not be fucking bothered. I haven't played League of Legends in
There's
like
no such thing
9
as a competitive
years, but I
game.
booted it up a couple of
Well,
months
there's
ago.
Dota.
My friends were telling me about all the new champions and the
That's
new
it.
metas and the new builds, and I
It's
just
the
wanted
only
to
game
take
that
a
still
nap.
qualifies as
Because my
competitive.
attention span is shot, is the lack of elasticity in my rotting brain protesting against me trying
Get
to
the
shove
fuck
even
outta
more useless
here.
shit into it? Maybe both. I used to have the drive to spend hours learning everything I could about a new game. There were times where all I could think about was whatever game I was currently playing, thinking about what I wanted to accomplish next, how I was going to do it, and I wouldn't stop until
They
I
spent way too much
Well, I've always
time
had that
on
as a
this.
benchmark, too.
They need to spend more
If you're not
time on
thinking
this.
about a video game at the Taco Bell drive-thru, it's not that good of a game.
Nowadays, I'd be lucky to stick with the game for more than a couple weeks before I'm over it, regardless of if
I don't
actually
care if
finished
the
it or
bots
not.
talk or not.
So,
Wait, hey, yo, they had somebody in this game call himself Mr. Hands?
Yeah.
That's crazy. How about that? That's not. Wow, what the fuck? Yeah, okay, all right. It is what it is. I know some people said, I read in the chat, they said, oh, I still feel that way about games, etc. Yeah, of course. But I also don't think that what I'm saying is made irrelevant just because everybody doesn't have the exact same shared
I'm not
experience.
running that spider
I
web.
think in general, whenever you're young,
Oh, it's
accomplishments
gonna
in
get
video
me.
games mean more because you
It's
don't have
gonna
any
get
other
me.
accomplishments or anything else to
Oh,
really
no.
have to your name. Whenever you get older, they don't mean
I
as much
dodged
because
it.
you have other things that you've already used to establish your self-worth. This is a trend, not a rule. It's a trend.
then, are there any games that I do enjoy? After so
Elden
many
Ring,
disappointing
New
letdowns
World,
and trying to enjoy
World of
games that
Warcraft.
just start to annoy me after 2 weeks, this question legitimately crossed my mind. And at the peak of my jadedness, one game proved to me
Valheim.
that I did still indeed have the capacity to fall in love with the game. And that game was Valheim.
Big
A game that isn't even finished yet, but a game that so perfectly
They're gonna finish Valheim. Apparently, Valheim, the creators of Valheim had
Hey, how's it going there, Darren Wood?
like a meeting with Gabe from Steam and Valve, and also Steven from Ash of the Creation, and they figured that they would release Half-Life 3, finish Valheim, and also release Ash.
Half-Life 3 is gonna be a VR game.
It's gonna be like I think 2070 or something like that.
Maybe.
created a sense of adventure and discovery that it reminded me why
It's at least gonna have a VR mode.
So it seems there may still be remnants
I don't
of the
think
game
Valve has
deep
stopped
underneath
being
all the
obsessed with
jadedness.
VR yet.
I've proven to myself that I definitely haven't outgrown the hobby. Maybe I've just been
Oh,
playing the
Alex
wrong
fucking
game.
sucked.
And sure, the world is
Everybody
different,
thinks Alex
and
is really
great
good.
games
It's
are
honestly a
different,
shitty
but
game.
there's still fun
Boneworks
to be
and
had.
Bone Lab are way
And
better than
despite the
Alex.
industry's best efforts to
There's no
cannibalize
melee.
itself, there
Like,
were
why would you
always
make a fucking
passionate
Half-Life
indie
game where I can't throw a
developers
box at
like
somebody?
Mars to pick up the slack and make good games and experiences. And maybe that's enough. Well, it kind of has to be enough. But I'm determined to rekindle my love of gaming. And that will be my New Year's resolution. I will begin my search to find the fun.
That's such a good outlook. I love this outlook. This is great. Try to find things that you like doing rather than continuing to do things that you don't like and getting mad that they're not fun anymore. Actually, not a doomer video.
Well, of course.
I like this a lot.
Yes, I'm enjoying it too, except for this particular screen.
Did y'all ever have like on that's like the original game?
I'm pretty sure I dot saved recently though, so it's not a big deal. I'm just gonna dot die a few things to make up for lost time. The devs have told me to play the beta build, and apparently it fixes the issue, but I'm not doing it. They said that the last time I had an issue with the bots just wandering around aimlessly. They're like, oh, play the beta build, it fixes it. Apparently not. Because it just breaks every other thing. So when this new update's released, I wonder what else it's gonna break. It's gonna fix something and break something else. That's how it always works with these people. I mean, I've worked on software before. I can completely understand. Yeah, you know, I probably have too many bots. Because the error I'm getting is something to do with a bot already having a corpse. And it just crashes the server.
Ready to smoke?
You ready to smoke?
Mhm, are you?
Yeah, let me make up for lost time here.
Seem to be doing that a lot.
Oh, I didn't dot save this whole time. Hold on. There should be one over here. No, that's tempered. For some reason, I have to fucking modify my speed again. I probably just needed to delete the bots, but I don't want to delete the bots because I have a guild. Well, maybe if I delete all the bots that aren't in my guild or on my friends list, that might help.
Are you going to try and raid with bots when you reach max level?
Yes. But the way I'm doing that is if I get the... Well, in vanilla, I'm obviously going to do all the vanilla raids. That's kind of a given. This is actually right where the server crashed right here, so I'm just going to kill these guys. I'm going to call it square. But for Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, I'm only going to do those raids if I get the quest for them. I'm trying to play this game organically at the moment.
Orange kitty. Are we gonna...
Oh yeah, we're gonna smoke. Let me dot save. I'm sure I'm gonna come back to a crash server. I'll be right back.
Right.
No. Quite the opposite, actually.
What'd you say?
I said you've been quite the opposite, actually.
I said good-ish.
Quite the opposite, actually. Oh, fuck. Wrong button. Alrighty. Do I still have Prey on my computer? Did I ever uninstall that? Oh shit, that takes forever. Yeah, I guess I did uninstall it, didn't I? Bummer. Well, let's see what these motherfuckers have. There's the movie Prey, Birds of Prey. Is it? I don't even know what that fucking is though. Um. Hmm. Oh, it crashed again. It crashed on startup this time. Let's see. Go back to main menu here. I figured out that, like, when this crashes once, the likelihood of it crashing again for some random reason is actually pretty high. So the best thing to do when it crashes is you always want to run the database fix, because that should keep it from crashing again. So I'm not gonna really count anything towards lost time. Especially since I can just go down here and kill these golems. Amy, please. No. Please, no. Please. No. Please. Oh, you were such a fucking cock. Doesn't have charge right now. About to get it back though, yep. Come on. Who the fuck? Oh, there's another horde. I'm so fucking dead though. Maybe. I'm dead. No? I need protection.
What are you doing?
No, it's just fucking horde everywhere. I need protection. I have a guildmate here. How many other guildmates do I have here?
Oh, you're using your charger.
Yep, cigarettes are for poor people. Hence why they're that much worse for you, because they want to kill the poor people. I'm basically gonna save my cigars for days off. It's probably the best way to do it. Then I'll smoke my pipe every other day. A shot glass with distilled water, though, is fucking brilliant. Who's this guy? I don't know him.
I'm out of range. I need to get closer.
Everybody gets a promotion for protecting me from the horde. I'm a generous guild master. Oh, and I helped you level. How about that? Oh, there's one.
It's too far away.
I don't know, but I'm in like this weird euphoric good mood right now. I can definitely see why people smoke cigars. That was one of the stronger ones too. The darker the wrapper, the stronger the cigar. They actually come in damn near black cigars. Oh, this guy needs to more golems too. How about that? I should have invited you a long time ago. I'll take it all, it's fine.
I'm out of range. I need to get closer. I can't capture it yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
Alright, I'm probably done leveling here. Or no, he's got like more quests. There's this guy down here has quests too. You know, I really don't like as a protection paladin, I really don't even have enough mana to warrant questing into Plague Lands because of how much mana I'm gonna go through if I do that.
What's on your mind? Hey, good. Here there. Watch your back. Interest you on the fight?
Ooh, I got 17 gold all of a sudden.
It's too far away.
Gaming is too toxic and it's your fault. That's probably accurate.
If you've been in an online community of gaming at any capacity, then I'm sure you're very familiar with the term toxic communities.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a very hot topic recently, especially as gaming evolves so much beyond simply sitting down and playing a game. Video games are no longer just a hobby or a pastime, they're much more than that. And regardless of if you think that's a good or a bad thing, the reality is that as gaming grows bigger and bigger, it's going to become much more observed and regulated by the people at the top. And the
That's definitely true. I mean, you see, obviously, and this is what happens, is that you get people that aren't really gamers that get into gaming, and then they get mad that people play games like gamers. I feel like in most cases, it's a matter of playing with people that have the same mindset that you do. So, like, for example, like, you know, it's definitely an L, like, even for me, for the Old War raid, right?
I need to get closer.
It's not, like, it's people's fault for doing the mechanics wrong, sure, but it's also my fault for trying to expect a bunch of casual players to play the game the way that I want them to. You see kind of what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it's their fault because they're just, like, you know, like, people went above and beyond to be bad, but at the same time, you can't just expect people to play at your really, really high level. You know, like, I did Old War 10 years ago. I know everything about it. So, big surprise, people that come in don't know the same things that we do. And, you know, you get into a group like that, and, fuck, that's the way things go.
primary target right now is online chat. Now, I've been seeing a ton of articles recently talking about toxicity, and I figured there's so much going on that I have to make a video about this. And
I feel like most problems that people have with toxicity would be immediately solved by putting the person on ignore, and these game companies having a better and more comprehensive ignore system. Like, for example, like, if somebody is talking shit to me or whatever, I just immediately put them on ignore. I don't even read it. And that's it. But, you know, there's other games where, like, if you do that, then they make another character, or then they make another account, or something like that. And that's really what the issue is.
Example that when I saw really blew me away. But first, let's talk about the overview of what exactly this toxicity is.
Okay.
Now, I know there's a large contingent of people out there that don't believe in toxicity, and to an extent I understand. For my entire
I don't think there's anything
Anybody that uses the word toxic or toxicity sounds like a fucking autist to me, and they have ever since that word became a way to describe trolls on the internet.
Environments that are not competitive. And like Reddit, etc. And like Reddit can be toxic. And you also have competitive environments, you know, sports and stuff like that can be toxic, but it's not as toxic as gaming. Like, any time that you watch, like, any pickup basketball game, you know, sometimes people, not every time, but like lots of people are talking shit to each other, right? Like, nothing serious, but, you know, they're goading each other and shit like that. So you put those two things together, and so there's no accountability because it's anonymous, and then you also have, you know, it's a competitive environment, and you're going to have people that get really mad.
Childhood, the internet was kind of like the Wild West, and I grew up in that time where if I opened my mouth in a video game, I was going to be called some of the most obscene slurs you can ever imagine. I grew up as a kid playing in the Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops lobbies on Xbox Live, so I've heard everything in the book. I've been called everything in the book. I understood that playing Call of Duty on Xbox Live meant that I was going to run into those things. For example, when I got Halo Reach after that game came out, my Xbox was set up in the family living room, and we had just gotten the Xbox Xbox Connect for Christmas. Now some of y'all might know where I'm going with this, but if you've ever played on Xbox Live with a Connect hooked up, everyone in the game can hear every sound that you make, and the in-game chat will go through the outside speakers. So when I booted up Halo Reach for the first time, they could hear my whole family talking in the background, and so that was a golden opportunity for the people in the game to start cussing out my entire family. So I learned real quick.
Well, hey, yo, fuck you, Grandma. Hey, you suck. You dumb bitch. It's like, what? Yeah, shut up, Mom. Your stupid ass kid can't shoot the sniper. I mean, you gotta admit, like, that shit's kind of funny.
Exactly how toxic online communities can be. And so going forward, I also knew to expect that.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
almost part of the experience. As a collective, everybody kind of knew. That when
You
the
ready for
lights
bed?
turned
You don't look
on,
ready for
people were
bed.
gonna be wilding out. And I say all that to illustrate that I see both sides here. That it can be.
Oh yeah, it definitely, and it's like, this is not just something like, obviously it happens to girls, and you know, like that's the easiest thing to tell is like if it's a girl or a dude. But there's also like if it's, for example, like a guy that has like a Middle Eastern accent, everybody's gonna be saying shit about that. If it's a guy that has like a Southern accent, everybody's gonna be saying shit about that. If it's a guy that sounds black,
Watch out for my shit behind your ass.
Basically anything. If you sound old, they're gonna fucking call you an old man. If you sound young, they're gonna call you a stupid little kid. Anything that people can use to fuck with you, they're gonna do it. That's just how the internet is. It's always been like that.
Harmful, but also just going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere around these communities has changed. The discussion now is that, is it time to shut this down? Is it time to not let online communities just be a free range like the Wild West anymore? Which brings us to this article. Activision teams up with Caltech to develop AI system to combat toxic behavior in Call of Duty. Now Activision...
Which, like, I'm not necessarily against that if it's like people that are throwing games. Which is like a huge problem with
I
some
completely
games.
agree with that.
It's like people that play
Unranked
you know,
or
like
rank,
they're-
it doesn't
they're
matter.
super toxic. They throw the game in like League or something like that.
Mhm.
League games are like 40 minutes, right?
They didn't get
So
the
if you
rule,
have
yep.
somebody who wants to ruin that game, you just destroyed the better part of a person's hour.
Mhm.
So like making sure that
'Cause the
you
other
have
4 people are
systems
still gonna
to
try.
keep people from just being toxic. I think it's 100% fucking toxic to throw games. Like super like in BGs, I feel like if I see somebody in a BG and they don't have like a helmet on because they think it's funny, I wish I could report them and get them suspended. And I genuinely, I'm not kidding, I think I absolutely should be able to do that. That person knows what they're doing. They are queuing up into a group environment that is competitive and intentionally handicapping themselves beyond what is average or beyond what is normal just to make people mad. Fuck that. No reason to let people do that. It just makes the game worse. Because what happens is that whenever that happens, and it's okay, and I did this all the time, by the way. But I would have never
Let me
done
go
it.
ahead and get these guys
So like, I don't want to hear somebody say,
noted
"Oh, well, you
here.
did this." Yeah, I know. It was bad.
Resto
It was bad whenever I did it. It's bad whenever people do it.
and
But it is funny though, right? Like, let's admit, like if you trolled people, like we used to have, like in Strand of the Ancients, we had something called Ocean Strat, which is whenever we would come in from the ships, we would get in the tanks and then we would ride them out into the ocean, and that was the strat, Ocean Strat, and then we just throw the game. It's fucking hilarious. Like even 10 years later, I still think that shit's hilarious. So it would just ruin the game. There's nothing people could do. Bloodlust before the match, yeah. Yeah. But like, and that is like a really the other one. As soon as somebody gets out of Alterac Valley, they bloodlust the moment that the gates open. Like it's funny, but it's also really stupid. And I do think that in general, if you have somebody that's doing that all the time, and then every lobby has somebody in there doing that, like remember back, for example, back at like in like the Wrath of the Lich King pre-patch, where people kept sharing the Mother's Milk quest from Lower Blackrock Spire in every single BG. Yeah, and then it was funny for a while, but then every single BG had like 10, you know, level 73 or, you know, level 68 at that time, I guess, Death Knights sharing mother's milk. It just wasn't funny anymore. It was annoying. And so Blizzard just fucking suspended people for it, and that was it. So it's like, there is a point where toxicity is genuinely bad because it just ruins the experience for other people. But I think that the big difference is that, like, communicating with somebody on a verbal level, giving someone the autonomy to mute that person, block that person, and also report them if they're being abusive, of course, but to effectively to delete that person, I think that's enough. I don't think it needs to really go that much farther than that unless the person is being, like, super abusive or something like that. Because I also don't think, like, why side with somebody who's obviously malicious? I think that the moment that you start siding with people that are malicious is the moment that you lose.
There's a difference between griefers,
I guess the point I'm
griefers,
getting at is that I think
and people that are just talking shit.
the focus should be toxicity in game.
Griefers have no place in that multiplayer gaming.
Trying to crack down on the toxicity in Call of Duty isn't exactly anything new. Call of Duty specifically has gained some insane notoriety over just how toxic their communities are. I'm sure we've all heard that saying now, you would not have survived a Modern Warfare 2 search and destroy lobby, which is kind of thrown around and an insult to people who are
Dota did it better than everyone, but still not correct.
Call of Duty is the primary
Griefers pretty much got matched with other griefers.
Look they want to have. So let's get into
But the problem with that is people just uninstall the game and stop playing.
To develop AI against online abuse. The effort will be a 2-year project.
Especially sometimes when people don't deserve to be in low priority.
Joining the gaming firm is Senior Director
It's a bitch to get out because you have to win.
No, I think there's a lot of people that just don't want to. You have to look at it from, you know, again, a 9 to 5 Andy's perspective. Does somebody want to log on to relax after a long day that is stressful at work and be called the N-word by a 15-year-old for 3 hours? No.
I don't care.
No, they don't. And it's just like, there's a certain point where it's too much. I'm not saying there should be no...
When was the last time Osmongold got home from a stressful day at work, though?
No. But, like,
So how the fuck is he now?
Where it is, you're not
I used to work with people, or I used to play with
a kid who
Call of Duty with people that I worked with at Burger King.
They're on the medication they should. They're instead of any medication.
And we were all closers.
Red Bull, Mountain Dew, and Monster.
And we didn't give a fuck. We were having
You
fun.
don't want to deal with that. Sucks.
Media and BRCN Professor Anima Anandkumar and Professor of Political and Computational Social Science Michael Alvarez. We want to know how players interact. What kind of language do they use? What kind of biases do they have? What should we be looking for? That requires domain expertise, Anandkumar said. Now, I do find it kind of...
Yeah, I think, like, really, an example of this is, like, the last game of Heroes of the Storm that I ever played. I had a guy that kept trying to run and solo the Nexus on the other person's team. And when I called him out for it, I said, come help us with team fight. He called me the N-word like 20 times, and then we lost the game. And after we finished the game, I asked myself, what am I doing with my life? Why am I deleting hours of my life, investing my time in this? What's the
That's
point?
pretty much why I stopped playing
And I
Dota.
just stopped playing.
Strange that they're asking what...
And with the time that free time that I have now, it's just not worth it. Like, Dota's a good game, it's just the community.
Crazy stuff to say crazy stuff.
Yeah,
Now, as for biases,
The ranking system. The community is just like any other community. Oh, let me fucking turn this off. I feel like it's talking over me, and nobody talks over me, quite frankly.
But then that does raise the question, though.
The community in Dota, League of Legends, and whatnot is no worse than any other gaming community. It's just that the ranking system is worse than any other game because it's given you essentially a ELO ranking system, which is made for 1v1 games, and it's shitting on you because your teammates are bad. or griefing, or both. That's the problem with those games. Any game with an elo system for team-based matchmaking, it's fucking garbage. The only good ranking system that's ever existed for team-based games is Halo 2's original Halo 2's ranking system.
That's definitely true.
Not the ones that say that the original ranking system, like MCC's ranking system, that's not the original ranking system.
Most people don't do that.
True skill is way different.
A subset of unironic incel gamers that do this. I've seen it too often, and if you don't think it happens a lot, if you play WoW, if you play any other MMO, try to find 5 females in a row that haven't been harassed by a guy. I'm pretty sure you probably won't even get past 2. Or if you play WoW, you won't get past 1.
Things that people really feel, or is that more of just a meme of the culture?
Yeah.
Because it says that when they're going to be looking for biases, I'm not exactly sure that's something that's going to be rooted in the psychology of the player, more so than it is a product of memes. But let's go ahead and keep reading. Additionally, Activision Blizzard announced what actions it's taking to create safer online experiences.
That's a hit 50. I'm switching back to vanilla.
To the Anti-Defamation League's newest report. Since the survey's release, the firm says that it's been in talks with the ADL on how it's combating player abuse. The game
I wouldn't take the ADL seriously at all. I don't know what gives them the authority to talk about this. Aren't these the same people that said that Pepe the Frog was racist? Like, these people are just morons. Nobody should take them seriously at all.
gaming giant also shared how it's protecting players online. Some of the efforts are listed below. A code of conduct for Call of Duty, an improved in-game reporting system, a warning system.
Actually, by the way, I really dislike these people that try to take their own personal agendas and then turn them into like actual problems, like the OK symbol and the Pepe the Frog, because what they do is that they draw such a ridiculous conclusion that it makes the problem seem like it's also ridiculous. So what they're doing is they're taking it to such an extreme that people are now trained to not even take the problem seriously at all, because these people are effectively lighting themselves on fire. Pepe is objectively anti-Semitic. I don't... No, Pepe the Frog is not objectively anti-Semitic. Just no, that's not true. It doesn't matter if you say it. Like, what do you think the probability of people... How many people who use Pepe the Frog actually even give a fuck about that one way or another? I would say 1 or 5%. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody's thinking about that.
System for players who exhibit disruptive behavior, and a mandatory social contract for users who play World of Warcraft. Now I have a few things
the social contract for a while, it solved a lot.
I want to say about that. My first thought when reading that was that, is this really abuse? When you're in an online game, everybody that you're talking to is completely anonymous, unless you're in a party, and they don't know who you are. You already have the tools of the mute button and the ability to block other players, so at what point is that the responsibility of the player to clean up the things that they're hearing? You already have the tools.
I think that's definitely true. In general, my line for being toxic in a video game is whenever you insult the person for something that is outside of the game. So, like, I don't think it's really toxic to say that somebody's dog shit ass garbage at a game if you're playing a competitive game. But if you say that they're, you know, like a stupid bitch because it's a girl, or you use some, like, racial thing or something like that,
that was such a fucking white knight.
The game anymore. It's not about the game. Lies, broken promises, and the death of Google Stadia.
I remember when people used to try to tell me that Stadia was good. People have tried to tell me that. And I told them, no, it's not. It's not good. It's not good at all. It's just a copy of OnLive, is all it is.
Oh boy.
In 4 decades, gaming has evolved from a niche hobby to a multi-billion-dollar industry. Sony and Microsoft gained ground 20-plus years ago, cementing themselves as integral parts of the business. Recent years have seen other non-gaming enterprises enter the race too,
you brought the TV
hoping to
back
cut
out?
themselves a slice of the very
You
lucrative
brought your
pie.
TV back out?
But
Yeah.
familiarity with game
I was
development's
playing
media
Prey, and it
idiosyncrasies
sucked, so I
placed
stopped
the likes of
playing.
Amazon
I'm
in a
gonna take
difficult
it back
position,
next time we're in
thus
town.
resulting in canceled
What,
projects
Prey?
and layoffs.
Yeah, get a couple bucks
When
for it.
Google threw its head into the ring with Stadia, the
like
expectation
$1.
was that the conglomerate had learned from its
Are you playing your
competitors'
headset
mistakes.
today?
However, Google's
No, I had to wipe off my
abandoning
camera
risky
because I got my
ventures
thumbprint
led
on
to
it.
believe Stadia would
Here.
constitute
Settle down,
a
Columbo.
short-lived experiment. The company wasted.
I think the idea of Stadia is really good. It's just
Anyway, you're gonna have to smoke without me. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I'm not a fucking
estimated the
peasant.
Technology, or the people that okayed the decision to do this didn't understand.
still a
how
peasant to
important
me.
for
And you're gonna
security
be
was.
forced to quit here pretty soon as
That's it.
well.
It's like, you know, they don't
Since
get
the
the
deal
difference
was
between like 100 and 200 ms.
That
because they don't really play online.
you can
competitive
smoke, but
video
you have to
games
give me
and shit.
cigarettes or buy me
But
cigarettes,
I think Google Stadia,
and I no
and, like,
longer
the idea of,
desire
like,
your
cloud
cigarettes.
gaming, this is something that will happen.
So
We're just not ready
Not
for
my
it yet.
problem.
you got until the end of the
no
month.
time proving the skeptics
My
right.
problem.
Stadia launched as a cloud-based gaming solution
You
designed
get
to
to
lower the
fucking have
barrier
all
of
your
entry to
addictions
AAA
and all your
experiences.
shit, and I can't
On
have a
top of
fucking
investing
thing.
on a
You're actually-
technological level, Google also
No.
positioned game
how
creation at the
this is gonna
forefront
go.
of its vision.
You're not
Ambitions
gonna
of
control
producing
every fucking
multi-million-dollar
aspect
IP
of
informed its lofty
everything.
goals.
You have until the end of the
engendering
month.
the establishment of the Stadia
And
Games
then
and
what?
Entertainment division that oversaw
Quit smoking.
first-party studios.
Or what?
Unfortunately, pre- and
You're gonna
post-launch
divorce me?
missteps later
I
revealed
don't know about that,
Google
but I'll
was the
figure
cart
something
before the
out.
horse,
Huh.
building advanced technology
You're gonna
before
fucking
partnering
blackmail
with
me into
developers who
fucking
knew
quitting
how
smoking.
best to leverage it. And when a team of industry veterans
You
did
already
finally
control
come on
every other
board,
aspect.
Quit
of
whining,
it.
woman, or it's gonna be
expected more
sooner.
immediate results without the necessary resources in play.
See, that like kind of goes more to my point where I think this happened. This was a decision
Giving you
that
plenty
was
of time to
made
prepare your
by
anus.
people that do not spend a lot of time
Yeah,
gaming.
okay.
So fundamentally, the problem was that they did not understand the end user. They didn't understand what the end user truly values. And because they didn't understand that, they decided to do something that was bad. Like, because if they understood it and they were part of that group, then they would have never done this. And again, like, you can see why I believe that, because they're putting, you know, goals for the people that have just come in to be acting like they've worked there for 10 years. Of course that's not going to happen. But that would happen because they don't understand gaming.
The result, Stadia's quick demise is far from the only victim of Google's mismanagement. This is the tragedy of Google Stadia.
It's not really a tragedy, it's just fucking garbage.
Bro, they make it sound like somebody died. Like, damn, bro. Like, listen, like, we're gonna be fine. It's okay. Like, holy shit. Like, I get, like, cloud gaming, they're not ready for it yet because the tech's not there. I think in 50 years, we're gonna have cloud gaming. It's gonna be no fucking problem. But we're not there yet. My condolences, yeah.
This
No,
video
cloud
has
gaming
been
is
brought
never
to
gonna
you
be
in
good.
part By Instant Gaming.
What's this?
Instant Gaming is your one-stop destination for cheap video.
AAA publishers are gonna push the hell out of it though, because it'll save them from being or having their games pirated. But
for up to 70% off. And
It's not
delivered
gonna-
to you instantly. Follow the link in the description and use our unique code.
It's
for a
not gonna be
purchase to
worth the
support
fuck.
channel. Be sure to
It's
check
still
out
gonna
Instant
have some
Gaming's
form of
giveaway
compression
page
to
as
save
well.
bandwidth.
Get a shot at winning all sorts of amazing prizes. Stop paying full price for video games and choose Instant Gaming.
Yeah, they should do a like a Pizza Hut collab where like you have to do like this for 10 seconds and then maybe people will use it. Be smart.
Only a handful of people led the charge on steering Google towards video games, an initiative that began in earnest after Chromecast's July 2013 launch. Maj Bakar, VP of Engineering for Stadia, disclosed in an IGN sit-down that the beginnings of such interests stemmed from discussions about running games on Chromecast. Bakar and his colleagues felt the obvious answer.
See, like, again, you know, they're reverse engineering a solution to a problem that a lot of people don't have, or they don't have the tools to solve. So it's something that obviously Google wanted to do because it would improve their position in the market, but they didn't have the tech to do it.
Interested in exploring the capabilities of cloud gaming. The goal for Google Stadia in its earliest phases centered on creating a platform for AAA developers to easily ingratiate themselves in, one capable of rendering more immersive and realistic worlds.
Yeah.
According to
idea.
Bakar, roughly 18 months of time and effort produced a prototype whose functionality connected standard broadband to Google data centers.
Not that I know of.
Continued iteration eventually yielded a demo that reliably ran
Take my
June
pipe out there. We'll
2016.
take that to work.
An internal showing of the demo at a Google engineer's home helped sell the potential of game streaming to higher ups.
Hey, you know what? Don't worry
The
about it. I got
subsequent
to clear
backing
it.
of company leadership allowed the cloud-based gaming crew to scale up, though rumblings about their objective wouldn't hit the airwaves until 2018.
Industry, you worked at Microsoft, at Atari, at Sony, and Stadia is already earning the nickname the Netflix of gaming. Is that really the right analogy?
Who the fuck said that? I love how these news articles are like, yeah, this is some nickname that they made. Bro, you read that off of a tweet that had 15 likes, and it was done by one of your writers. Nobody said that.
We see it as the new generation of game platforms that combine the world of watching games.
Former PlayStation
And true, he's right about this. Again, they're right. Google was right about Stadia.
and Xbox executive Phil Harrison joined Google in January 2018, assuming the role of vice president and general manager.
Where's your cigarette?
Specifics regarding Harrison's duties were kept under wraps.
I
at the
actually
time,
don't know. I
yet
haven't
the
smoked
public
it all
later
today.
learned that Google hired him to
Maybe they're
captain
in the
its new
car.
gaming vertical. Chatter about the conglomerate
Well, you
dipping
better
its
hope
toes
so.
into the
They're not
games
giving you
industry
anymore.
initially
It's not
surfaced
$6.
days after Harrison's appointment,
$30.
courtesy of a report via The Information. The publication claimed
Go
Google
check the
had
car.
spent 2 years designing gaming hardware and a streaming service codenamed Yeti, with an earlier version of the technology built to function alongside Chromecast. Reporting from Kotaku offered more insight several months thereafter, when the outlet cited 5 sources who alleged that Google's gaming initiative involved a 3-pronged approach. Apparently, the strategy emphasized a streaming platform, new hardware, and an intent to acquire and recruit talent from across the industry.
What a
The
surprise.
pursuit of recruits and development partners began with 2018 trade shows, specifically that year's GDC and E3 events, at which Google officials courted multiple publishers. Sources familiar with Google's operations likened Project Yeti to NVIDIA GeForce Now, wherein the technology offloaded a game's processing power to data centers, thus permitting even the most basic PCs to seamlessly run major AAA titles. However, not everyone felt confident in Google's
It's like that's again, it's too, and like you could see how somebody who doesn't really understand gaming that well would come to that conclusion. You see what I'm saying? Like they would come to that conclusion because they did. Yeah, it's a logical. It's a logical step that you could take.
Oh, that was fucking the training receipts. I was just putting them in my pocket. They're from the training station.
Such a feat. Developers who spoke
I
with
was like,
Kotaku
what the
anonymously
fuck?
expressed concerns over
You
many
could drop
consumers lacking access to
$50 on
high-speed
somebody?
internet. Others
wasn't
tempered their
me.
expectations based on the company's less than stellar track
I
record.
don't even
of
drop
fresh
$50
ideas.
on you, so.
Google accepted the
But
challenge.
that's only
and
because
overseas,
you don't spend any
unveiling
money on me.
Project Stream in October 2018
money on
as
you
a technical
constantly.
test to solve some of the biggest challenges.
I don't
of
see
streaming.
it. Where's my
A
robe?
partnership with Ubisoft positioned Assassin's Creed Odyssey as the demanding application.
Quit fucking
that would
making
assist
me
in
angry
achieving
with your
these ambitious
nonsense.
ends. Starting on October 5th, a select number of participants were
We're
given
perfectly
the
chill and
opportunity
you're
to
trying to
explore
ruin my
Odyssey's
mood.
ancient Greece setting from a Chrome browser,
about, dude?
so long as
Quit
the
whining.
internet met connection requirements of 25 megabits per second.
Isn't this like a single player game? Like I'm not sure. I never played it. This is a single. This looks like a single player game. Yeah. Again, bro. Like they did. Oh my god. They should have had, bro. If they had had them do Dark Souls, I bet they would have seen what the problem was.
Barring a few hiccups, the general consensus from early impressions suggested Project Stream offered a relatively solid experience. People were dazzled by the service, acknowledging the need for improvement on some fronts, but believing Google had set the stage for a game changer. While the streaming platform's full reveal generated plenty of excitement, its eventual rollout left much to be desired.
Okay.
Notable Assassin's Creed producer Jade Raymond departed Ubisoft in 2014.
How the fuck did they ever make an Assassin's Creed game with a Viking? Like, y'all ever wonder about like that? How the fuck did that happen? Because it's like, that's the last thing. Whenever I think of an assassin, like, maybe the game was really good, but it just doesn't seem like it's not Assassin's Creed. That's like Pillager's Creed or something like that.
Later founding EA's Motive Studio in Montreal. After leaving Motive in late 2018, the producer became vice president of a then-unknown Google endeavor. Within a week of this news going public, Raymond's role and Google's plan for the future of media streaming gained clarification during a GDC 2019 keynote. Raymond joined to head up Stadia Games and Entertainment, the company's first-party studios division designed to craft exclusives for Stadia. The all-new streaming solution eliminated the need for a next-gen console or...
I'm so fucking sick of exclusives. They're so annoying.
...high-end gaming PC, instead letting users navigate interactive adventures via internet connection on a wide variety of platforms. Stadia additionally promised seamless connectivity between devices, exhibited with a GDC demo in which someone playing on a Chromebook switched to their phone and later a PC, picking up where they'd left off in-game during each instance. Worldwide data centers powered the service in 200-plus territories.
And like, again, you can see how if you're showing this gameplay to people that aren't...
Alright, where the fuck are these dudes?
The input delay and the added, like, millisecond latency that it creates would not be, like, the people sitting in these chairs can't notice that. They're not going to know, because they don't see whenever his hand is hitting the buttons.
Streaming data through millions of miles of fiber optic cable, onlookers were especially intrigued by Stadia's supposed output capabilities. Google VPs Maj Bakar and Phil Harrison swore the architecture could support games in up to 4K HDR at 60 frames per second. Bakar added that future targets for the technology included 120 frames per second and 8K resolution.
Nobody needs 8K
A dedicated controller represented the platform's sole hardware component. State-of-the-art streaming technology and a gamepad could only offer so much without the backing of quality content, however. Hence the significance
I went in the
of
wrong
Stadia
cave to
Games
begin
and
with.
Entertainment. During Stadia's GDC reveal, Phil Harrison insisted Google would supply developers with full access to its data centers. The results of such assurances later proved underwhelming. Only 12 launch titles were announced the week ahead of Stadia's November 2019 release. The Tomb Raider reboot trilogy constituted 3 of the 12. AC Odyssey, Mortal Kombat 11, and Red Dead Redemption 2 helped fill out the lackluster list. It didn't escape public notice that all of Stadia's Day One experiences were older third-party titles that many had already enjoyed elsewhere. Yet, the promise of Stadia Games and Entertainment beefing up the content offerings with exclusives held a lot of sway, especially on the heels of division head Jade Raymond unveiling Google's first game studio. Oddly enough, when Stadia's launch day finally came, the dearth of new content counted among the least of an early adopter's worries. Stadia dedicated Reddit threads, previously filled with enthusiasm, turned into sounding boards for disgruntled customers overnight. Many who...
That sounds like basically every single video game release. Everybody gets, like, the game is liked. It's like there's an inverse relationship that people have with video games, and this is especially true with MMOs. It's like a fucking reverse paradox. The less you know about a game, the more hyped you are for it. So like if they only announce the name of the game you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be so fucking good. Like, look at the Riot MMO. They don't even have a name for it, so people are even more excited about it. They haven't seen anything about this game. They don't know anything about it, so they could just put all of the stuff that they could have imagined inside of the game. They're like, yeah, it's gonna have open world PvP, and it's gonna be super cool. It's gonna have really cool raids, and it's gonna look awesome. And you know, then whenever the game comes out, and you're like, okay, so it's not gonna. All right, so it's gonna look okay. I mean, I guess we'll play it, and then you play it, and it sucks. It's like, I fucking hate this shit. That's what happens every time.
Pre-ordered the hardware and
you
access
want,
codes with the Founders Edition didn't receive their goods on day one. Meanwhile, release day buyers obtained their account information on time. Such circumstances proved particularly problematic because Google awarded unique display names on a first-come, first-served basis, meaning numerous would-be owners of the Founders Edition weren't prioritized as promised.
That's kind of funny.
Early adopters further faced issues related to poor visual quality and latency troubles that made the likes of Mortal Kombat 11 unplayable. The absence of wireless controller support and achievements exacerbated the problem in the eyes of day one customers. As the weeks wore on, the broken promises sparked questions of whether Stadia's turbulent arrival had put a blight on its chances at success. The realization that Destiny 2 and Red Dead 2 failed to operate at true 4K resolution didn't inspire much confidence in the platform's long-term health either. But the streaming service enjoyed its fair share of wins. The first of such victories manifested in Google's Typhoon Studios acquisition in December 2019, a purchase that occurred before the indie developer released its debut project, Journey to the Savage Planet. The studio founded...
I don't even remember that game at all. Yeah, I don't remember that shit in any regard.
By Ubisoft and WB Games veterans Alex Hutchinson and Reed Schneider, most impressed Google's growing gaming division because of its AAA team and ability to build a high-quality game in under 3 years. According to Jade...
I think a lot of these big companies put too much emphasis on AAA anything. Nobody gives a fuck about AAA. Nobody gives a fuck about any of that if the game sucks. The gameplay for a lot of these games is bad. They look great. They have interesting stories. They're historically accurate in certain ways. But the game's not fun to play. So get that right first.
Typhoon merely marked the start of Google's acquisition plans.
Of course.
In March 2020, Stadia Games and Entertainment added another firm to its stable, an outfit built from the ground up in Playa Vista, California, with former God of War studio head Shannon Studstill involved as studio director. That same month also saw the division join...
I'm gonna get my body in, and I'm just gonna get off for the night, so...
An unspecified Stadia exclusive. And Stadia updates throughout 2020 ensured an even greater number of users would have the opportunity to experience the fruits of Google's investments.
Okay.
For example, non-Google smartphones received Stadia support in early 2020. Stadia playability made its way to iPhone and iPad several months thereafter. Yet, a long-predicted blow to the games and entertainment vertical effectively negated every step taken towards securing the platform's viability.
You know, this is something people may have heard about, but people understand this was so important to Phil that you moved your family over to the States from England because you're so excited about this project and what it represents for, I think, the future of the gaming industry. And I'm really excited to sort of hear from you.
On January 27, 2021, Google VP Phil Harrison contacted staff via email, praising Games and Entertainment's great progress. Harrison's message further touted Stadia as the best game streaming technology on the market, and promised that details regarding the 2021 budget would soon be shared. This so-called rallying cry quickly revealed itself as the calm before the storm, an arguably misleading show of hope where none existed. Just 5 days after issuing the email, Harrison hosted a virtual meeting with in-house Stadia developers in which he informed them of the game's division's closure. Sources who spoke to Wired said many were puzzled, given the messaging delivered a few days prior.
Yeah, really?
Kotaku heard from sources claiming Harrison openly regret...
He's like, guys, everything's going great. I'm so happy. Listen, we're going to let you guys know about what's going to be happening next year really, really soon. It's like, all right, you guys, come here with me. Yeah, we're shutting it down. That's so sad.
Spreaded the misleading email in a follow-up Q&A session. When pressed about what had changed between January 27th and the closure announcement, the VP allegedly admitted higher-ups knew the end was nigh. Naturally, this answer did nothing to quell the confusion of hundreds of workers who'd uprooted their lives for Stadia, hoping for stability the games industry seldom offered, only to get laid off a year or two later without sufficient explanation.
You got to keep in mind, like, a lot of people probably moved their family or moved down there. You know, they bought a 1-year lease or 2-year lease. They bought a house down there. And now this shit is not going to happen. It sucks. Obviously, that's life. You take a risk, and sometimes you lose. That's how it goes. But it's still sad to see.
Harrison's statement on the Google blog noted that because AAA development's high costs continue to grow exponentially, the company thought it best to refocus by expanding on the proven technology of Stadia. Achieving such ends necessitated a long-term sustainable business, which Google believed infeasible if its efforts remained split between game production and technology. Something had to give. Stadia Games and Entertainment got the axe. As a consequence, every work-in-progress Stadia exclusive immediately fell to the cutting room floor.
Well, it's like, also, I'm pretty sure they had released some of them, and a lot of people probably didn't care. Like, you've got to look at it from their perspective. Like, if you're one of the Google executives and you're pumping billions of dollars into this, and none of these games are popping off, yeah, of course they shut it down. No shit.
A few people familiar with the situation insisted the studio closures and subpar communication exemplified how poorly Google managed its gaming sector.
Thank you all for joining us. I suppose I should start out with a confession. I'm actually not a big gamer. Though I do play.
And that is the problem. That I think that is probably an explanation of, like, I would say like 50% of the issues. Maybe somewhere around there. Whenever you have the executive leadership that doesn't know what the fuck is going on. You guys ever had that happen at your job? Where you had the leadership of you know, your project that's never done your job or anything even remotely close to it, and so they say, well, why can't you just program it in one of those AI things and just have the video game make it to where it's like a fucking like a procedural generation trees and some shit. I mean, you do that in like an hour. Like, why is it gonna take a month? What are y'all, lazy? Yeah, it's just sad. CEO, not gamer. Yeah. Just code it. Yeah, what do you mean? Just do it.
I play FIFA 19 quite a bit and really enjoy how immersive it is.
Upon taking the stage at Stadia's GDC 2019 unveiling, Google CEO Sundar Pichai joked of how little he knew about games, a confession that later provided the perfect segue to his introducing.
Most gaming CEOs don't know a fucking thing about games.
The latter boasted of the 100+ teams who'd received Stadia.
They're as in the dark as like your grandparent is about video games, maybe even more so.
Craft groundbreaking exclusives.
And it's like, if a lot of companies do this and it's not really a big deal. Like, it's different than, like, for example, if you're not very passionate about video games, maybe you shouldn't really try to push a video game space in your company, because it's not something that you really understand. You don't have like a fundamental, like, fucking understanding of like what the consumer wants, because you're not a consumer. And it's not a bad idea to go and hire somebody that knows way more than you do, right? Because that's a smart thing. It's like, you want to diversify and build in a new industry. It's like what Microsoft did with the Xbox. Like, they probably hired a bunch of fucking video game people for the Xbox. But that didn't mean that the guys at Microsoft didn't know anything about it. You still have to know a good amount about it in order to know if they're doing it right or not. To know what the values are, to know what the goals are, to know what the things that the consumers place value in. It's common sense.
But according to former employees interviewed by Wired, Google didn't hire a lion's share of the developers needed for its initiative until after GDC. Developers recruited during what was essentially the 11th hour had no choice but to work with technology years in the making. This order of events created discordance between Google engineers and gaming hires, the latter of whom quickly discovered where the corporation's priorities lay. That Google operated as a tech company first and foremost hardly helped. And even with the appointments of Harrison and Raymond, the newly minted team seemed unequipped to foster content creation roles in-house because similar postings didn't previously exist. Adjusting to the unique demands of game development proved yet another challenge. For one, Google's arduous hiring process made it difficult for lead developers to recruit staff in a timely fashion. Company policies were often at odds with the standards of game production too, such that security concerns reportedly forced Google to withhold permission for the use of certain software. Barriers of this nature further complicated an already complex ordeal. And when the necessary resources finally fell into place, COVID-19 stifled any chance at forward momentum. Google froze hiring attempts mere weeks after the Playa Vista studio opened its doors in spring 2020 because of the pandemic. An internal memo from Pichai reasoned that slowing recruitment would benefit the continued support of a small number of strategic areas. Stadia wasn't part of the club. Several key departures followed in the wake of the games and entertainment closure. Chief among...
I think like one of the main fucking points of this too was that a lot of people didn't really use or like Stadia. Like you can talk about like exclusives and like all these theoreticals, but from everybody that I talked to that used this or had any experience with this, it was problematic. It was either laggy, like there was fucking screen tearing, there was like what the guy said, like resolution issues, you couldn't see what the fuck was going on. It wasn't very good. So that's the real reason why it died. Like, for example, if Stadia came out and it was seamless cloud gameplay, everybody would be using it. But
not me.
Because it wasn't. It's just that simple. And again, this is something that in the future it will solve. This will be solved in the future. And I think the version, like a version, fucking 12.5 of Google Stadia is going to happen in 50 years, and it's going to be great. But it's just not there yet.
Them being Jade Raymond, who left to establish the now Sony-owned Haven Studios. At least 6 more staffers joined her a few months later.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Still, Stadia trucked on throughout 2021, with news that Xbox players could stream Stadia games through the Microsoft Edge browser, serving as its most noteworthy high point for the year. By the following year...
Does anybody here use Microsoft Edge? Yes, I do. That's a good amount. All right, that's... I expected nobody to say yes. I feel like, yeah, a lot of people probably use Firefox or Google Chrome. That's it. I heard Edge is good, actually. I find it to be very funny that Internet Explorer just had such a bad reputation that they had to rename it. They should have started with something that didn't start with E, though, because then maybe people would have given it a new chance.
Here, even small victories were in short supply. The start of 2022 brought reports of the service's rebranding from Stadia to Google Stream, a desperate strategy Business Insider claimed would see Google licensing the technology to parties such as Capcom and Bungie. In August, Nerf Report's Bryant Chappell provided evidence that Google had begun testing cloud gaming integration across its search engine and Amazon Luna.
Now, I think that's another issue, is that people don't want to have another fucking subscription. Like, am I crazy to think that unless you have like a ridiculous offering, nobody wants another subscription? Come on, man.
Any last-ditch effort to save the struggling service soon proved for naught, since Google announced in September 2022 that all Stadia services would cease on January 18th, 2023. In the end, the skeptics were right. Stadia amounted to little more than another of Google's speedily forsaken interests. Sure, revolutionary technology was squandered.
I think it's great that Google tried to do this, though. And like, nobody should really meme on them for it, because they tried to actually advance the way that people play video games. They tried to do something new.
Live did it
didn't
first,
work.
but okay.
That's the way it goes. But it's a cool idea, and I think one day it will.
Under the weight of mismanagement, and genuinely compelling experiences could have spawned from the first parties. But as is often the case in the games industry, hundreds of designers, artists, programmers, and producers suffered the most. And because of leadership's incompetence, they have nothing of consequence to show for it.
Yeah, the leadership should have known this better. People lose trust in cloud services, though. I think a lot of people already have that.
Thank you for watching. We'd like to take this time to thank,
Let
by
me link
name,
you guys this
the
video. This is a
generous
great
patrons
video.
who have pledged to our Hall of Fame reward
I
tier.
will also say that this seems like a like the
All right,
tone
I'm done
of
for
this
the night.
video is like the same tone that I would have expected for a documentary about
Things
like
take
that
forever to fucking
spaceship
kill.
in Columbia that blew up. Like this,
So,
it makes it sound like, and
toodles.
after the end of it,